Hey, this is Andrew Brown from the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp bringing you another video, and this time we're going to work on some implementations of features in our Crutter application to round it out and to finish it off. So yesterday we had fixed the last video we fixed the create activities, and we also fixed our CI/CD pipeline. We don't have DynamoDB messages working just as of yet, but I think I want to hook up some endpoints because I don't think DynamoDB is going to be that interesting to fix. And when I say fix, I just mean make sure that it's still working. And I think last time we saw it, it might not have been hooked up correctly. Probably just parameter store because we never swapped those over. But here I'm in my application and I'm going to do the standard Docker Compose up. And once this is up, we'll seed the database. I'll be back here in just a moment, okay? Well, I was just thinking about it. We don't have to wait because we can just start working while we're waiting for this to spin up. So I know that we want to have that reply. And oh yeah, we also last time refactored our app.py. So this would be a lot easier to work with. And so in here, I want to work with reply. Now I'm also noticing this pattern is being repeated quite often where we have a model and it's going to return this or that. So that could be something else that we might want to do in terms of refactoring our code. Yeah, I'm just thinking about what would be the best way to do that. So what I'm thinking is maybe we could create ourselves a new function, and I'm going to go to the top here. Because it's always the same, right? If there's an opportunity, we don't want to overdo it, but if there's an opportunity to do some refactoring here, I wouldn't mind doing that. So I'm just going to open this over here. And for ones that return a model, then we will just have this. So I'll go to the top, and I'm just going to do def return model. And we'll go here, and in here we'll pass in the model. It opens up automatically. And so what I'll do is I'll copy this code here and I'll paste it. And you just have to be careful in terms of how much you refactor because sometimes it can be a bit too much. But the idea here is we will have return. Here we'll have return. And then in here we'll have return model. Okay, so we can do it this way. I wonder if there's another way that we could do it. Can we do chaining in Python? Chaining functions in Python. That is like a DSL kind of thing that I'm used to doing in Ruby. Just get the heck out of here. This stupid download thing is totally useless. Let's get out of this page because it's frustrating. We're going to make our way over to ChatGPT. If you want people to go to your website or ChatGPT, don't throw a bunch of crap at them. So what I want to do here is how can I chain functions together in Python 3? Hopefully it understands what I'm saying. So, I mean, that's not the nicest way to do it. In Ruby, you can do period, 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 and chain it. But let's see if there's another way that it can do it. Yeah, so I guess Ruby doesn't have the nicest syntax sugar. So I was hoping for something a bit nicer than that. But apparently that's the best we're going to get. And so we can kind of one-line this thing. If we want to, and it might be easier for debugging, we could take this line up here. Because we don't have to refactor it to that degree. But we could go place it here. And the advantage here is by doing it this way, then we're able to debug the model in between it. And so that's something that you might commonly want to do. But again, it would have been nice if I could have just done like return errors. But for that to work, we would have to return an object as the model. I'm just thinking about that. Maybe we can do that now that I'm thinking about it. So let's make our way over to our service. And we're going to go, this is for API activities. So this is for user activities run. So if I go into user activities here, we have a model here that is that, but we could create ourselves our own model. And so what I can do here is go to lib and make a new file here and call it model.py. And we'll just say class model. And a couple functions that I want to write is I want to have an errors, if there are any. I might want to have a data. And then we might have yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how to do the syntactic sugar as well as Ruby. But the thing is that if we wanted to, we could like call .return errors and stuff like that. But I guess it depends on what this thing does. Let's go back over here. So it does that, returns model with the error code. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure what I want to do there, so I think I'm just going to keep it simple, but there is ways that we could make this nicer if we wanted to. Also, I'm going to decide, do I like return model as the name? So this would return that. Also, would that even work is another question. So I think this would. Let's go seed our data and just see if our refactor does work. Bin db setup. Here we go. And we'll go over to our ports and we'll open up our application here. And I have an error, so something is wrong. So I'm going to go over to Docker here. And we'll go into viewing our logs. And there is an error here. It says invalid def return model, but we solved that, did we not? So I'll just search for that again. Maybe I have it twice. No, I don't. Line 121 it's complaining about. And oh, it's not even running. So what I had this while I was spinning up and it ran into a problem. So I guess that's my fault. So we're going to do a Docker compose up to hopefully solve that issue there. But yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any way we could just slightly reduce our code. That seems to be the most repetitive thing that I'm seeing right now is that. And that's probably the last refactor that I will do. I think I will do here anyway. A lot of this stuff could be cleaned up into files. I think some boot campers already did that. That might be something interesting for us to do. I'll be back here once this is done compiling, okay? Or, oh, it's done. Okay, great. So what I'll do is go back over here. I want to give this a refresh. And let's make sure that our backend is running. It is running. Let's go inspect it and see what the problem is. Because there could just be no data. So we get a in-flight problem here. So I will go over to our logs. Okay. App is not defined in the Cognito JWT token Pi. So that's kind of interesting because we didn't have that error before, but that's part of the decorator. So I'm actually quite surprised that's happening now. It did not happen before. So I suppose we'll have to go solve that. So I'll go into here, and somewhere in here we have app. So there is app. I guess the question is, how can we reference app throughout the application? I feel like we've done this before, but let's go see if we can figure it out. So how do we access app in Flask for a module? I feel like we've done this before. Yes. It's really taking its time to tell us. That is not useful for us. Okay, let's stop that. What I want to look at is one we wrote before. So I remember we did logging in one of these services. I thought it was user activities, to be honest. Wasn't there. Show activities. Because I remember us placing logging in one of these things, and we needed the app to reference it. So we definitely did this before. So I'm just going to click through here until I see Flask being defined. And it could be that we had it and then we deleted it out. Yeah, it definitely was there before. So just give me a moment to go find it again, okay? All right, that was really hard to find, but I think I found where we can do that. So there's Flask import current app as app. I also read a bit more about blueprints and refactoring in Flask. So they have a thing called blueprints. I don't think it's a very good implementation, but the idea behind blueprints is it allows you to refactor your code into modular components. But the one thing was about like attaching each one to a subdomain for your application. So there's some really interesting design decisions for this. For our purposes, when we want to break this into microservices, we don't need to use we don't need to do it this way. I personally don't recommend what they're doing here. I don't think the concept of blueprints is very good, but I mean that's my personal opinion. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So I think we are okay with the way we're doing it, but let's give this a go. And I think we used this before somewhere. But that should resolve this issue. I'm really surprised that this is just throwing an error now. Did not have an error before, but whatever. And I got to go search for app here. So app is down there with the logger, and that's all we wanted it for was the logging, I guess. And I guess that's because we were hitting an unauthenticated page. So we'll give this a refresh and see if that resolves our issue here. We are still getting a 401. So well, actually 401 should be okay. That means unauthenticated, right? And so if we're here, 401 unauthenticated, let's go over to our app implementation. Because this should technically work. API messages, default home, API activities home. So this one is supposed to go here in the case that we have this, and it has its function right there. Otherwise, it returns a 200. So I'm not really sure why it's doing that. I mean, it should log, but it really should return this. Maybe because we need to explicitly put a return here. Maybe that would fix our issue. I don't know. There we go. So I guess we just never finished that implementation. I'll be back in a second. My sister's calling me because I forgot to mark myself as D&D. Sorry, I'm back. And I made sure I set myself to D&D here, which means do not disturb, not D&D, the Dungeons and Dragons. But we could do that if you all folks wanted to do that. Anyway, so this is now working correctly. So I guess we just did not finish that implementation, or I did not finish that implementation. So I do apologize if you did run into errors. And you're probably scratching your head, maybe not realizing the next video has that, but I apologize. But anyway, so now that this is resolved, you know, we called that return model, which is fine. So we wanted to test this here to see if it works. So we do need to sign in. And we'll sign in here. And we'll make our way over to notifications. And yeah, it seems to be working. So, I mean, of course, this isn't showing up on the left-hand side. We might as well go fix that. It's kind of driving me crazy not seeing that there. So we'll go over to our notifications page here. And I'm just going to open up the home page here. And we'll just look for where that is, that code. So it should take just a moment to fix there. So we are missing here the logged in stuff, the logged in logic. So if we go back over to our homepage and compare this to this one here, desktop sidebar. So it has the code in. There must be something wrong with the check auth or something. So this one has a set user, so that's probably one thing that's different. Another thing here is this probably needs to be here if it's not there already. It already is. Let's see if that fixes our problem. Nope, I guess it's a bit more than that. What else is missing here? The await get access token. And the token's not even there, so that's another problem. Again, I know one of our boot campers has solved this problem. We have to do it twice. I do have to look it up and include it. I'm kind of getting tired of having all this extra code. And plus, if we can do things the right way, it'd be great. So we need to make sure we have check auth. I'm not sure if we need get access token, but we will know if we paste it in here, because what it will do is it will tell us if is being used. Yeah, that's the old one, so we'll remove that out. Paste that in. So check auth isn't being used. Where do we use this? Check auth. Down below, yep. I thought we had that function here. Oh, you know, maybe we have it in line, so we'll just remove that because we refactored it out. And that will resolve that issue. We'll go back over here. That's looking better, great. So this is working as expected, so that refactor worked. We'll go back over to our app.py, and we'll just continue our refactor here a little bit more. So in our app.py, we have, yeah, that's a return model function. So what I want to do here is just continue on with that. So we'll say return equals return model. And technically it's returning JSON, but whatever. Because we could even call it like model JSON instead. I think I prefer that name. Yeah, maybe I'm being picky, but that's just kind of what I want. And same thing here. We probably just copy this line every time. So we'll copy that and paste it. And then we will go down here and paste that. This is just data, so we don't have to do anything for that. Yeah, it doesn't need the double returns there. We'll go down here. Okay. And so, yeah, that's been reduced. Hopefully you see the value that I see there, simplifying that. And so I think that is a little bit more manageable. There's all this stuff at the top here. We should really clean this up as well. So I think that's something that I'd like to do. I know our roll bar isn't working right now, but that is something that we could try to attempt to fix. So I'll go over here and we'll go into our lib and we'll make a new file here called rollbar py. Okay. And we'll bring over all the rollbar specific code. So we'll bring this over, even though this isn't working right now. We'll bring this over. And this requires us to use, I'm just thinking about this for a second. With app context, and this was something that didn't work as expected, but yeah, we'll leave that alone for now because, well, we do need to import it and run it. So I'm just trying to think here. If we import this, would it run the code? I think so. So we'll go to the top here. And we need the OS here. And I need the app, so we just figured that out with our Cognito over here. We need rollbar, which shows up here. We can actually grab all this. I don't know if we repeat this twice. We do need this. We might need OS for something else in here, so we might want to leave that in here. Let's just see if OS appears anywhere. OS, period. It does. And we have it up here as well redundantly, so we can just take this whole section out. Okay. I'm not sure if we can do this twice. I don't know how you do like an import as and then that, but I'll just do that. Hopefully that doesn't error out. And so that is now refactored as its own file. So we can go to the top here and we'll just say import lib.rollbar. Okay, I'm not importing anything in particular. It just should run the code that is here. So that is one simplification. There is X-ray probably. So do we use this anywhere here? The X-ray recorder. We do. So I'll make a new file here, call this X, oops. I'll make this in lib. So we'll say xray.py. Okay. And for this, we'll grab these two things. Paste that in. What else do we need for X-ray here? We'll just type in X-ray. And so down below here, we have a bit more. We'll paste that in. It looks good to me. That's fine. And we'll just keep going here. And some of these things are supposed to appear after. So see here, this appears after. So I'm thinking that probably what we need to do is like initialize a init rollbar like this. And then we need a init X-ray because some of these things should be executed after the fact. So I'll go back over here and like this app.context should come afterwards. So this would be a init X-ray like this. And you can have functions within functions. I don't do it too often, but you can do that. I'm not a huge fan of functions within functions, but that's just how they have it. We could make it a class and call it like X-ray, and then that one initializes that and stuff like that. Or what we could do is we go here. I mean, this is rollbar. It's the same function, actually. It's kind of silly that I have it twice. But what we could do, because I don't think we use app anywhere else here. We don't. So really, we just have it for this one line. So we could cut this out, and then we could paste it here. And then we would just say init rollbar. I know this doesn't work, but that's how we could do that for that. And then I could just go here. And now we could be importing this function instead. So if I go up the top here, then we could say from import init rollbar. Same thing with X-ray. Okay. Not all the code has to be in there, but some of it does. This could just be in here. I'm not sure. Maybe there was like a puts here at one point. We'll just take that out. The indentation is throwing me off. It makes me think that I might have deleted something important. I don't think I did, but we'll go ahead and do that. Hopefully that is our correct code. And so now coming back down over here. Yeah, so that makes sense, the init rollbar here. And then this is the middleware, so we'll go back over to X-ray. And then we'll just say init X-ray. And we could actually put these in here because this is when they're actually being used, unless they need to be used outside the scope of here. I'm not sure. We'll cut this out. Paste that in here. We'll see if X-ray is used anywhere else. So we do have the X-ray recorder there, but it does get initialized before that code runs, so that shouldn't cause an issue. So there's that. And then the next thing would be, well, we do have this rollbar test here, so we might even want to have this as our rollbar test function if we wanted to extract that out. I don't know. I'm not too worried about this one here. We can just leave it as is. But this one would actually need to get the actual instance of rollbar, and that's not something that we are producing there. So it could be that we want to return rollbar here in the init function. So here we'd say return rollbar. Okay, and then the idea is that where we initialize that, we can just say, but I don't know if that would be in the scope of that, and then that wouldn't work. But we'll have to find out because we do need to fix roll bar. It should be working properly. So we did that there. We have this tracing stuff. Who's using the tracer is the question. So I'm just going to go search here, tracer. This is OTL stuff. I think this is all honeycomb stuff. So then we'll have one for honeycomb. Okay. I'll go ahead and cut that out. Paste. And I mean, this is importing a lot of interesting stuff. I don't know if it needs to be imported at the top level because some of these might import into particular stuff. But let's go down here and figure this out. So this happens beforehand. So we can cut this out and place this here. So I'm just trying to figure out where these are being referenced. Okay. And then there, here it says, show a simple one here. I'm going to cut this out. Not saying I'm doing the best refactor here, but I'm doing the best I can. And then down below here, we have our def init honeycomb. Paste that in there. Here it needs app, so we do need to have app passed into here. We could just keep it simple and just pass it in as such. So just say like init honeycomb. And then we can just say app here. Save ourselves some trouble. I could be making mistakes here. I wouldn't even know. But it's the best I can do here. So initialization of various things. We also have our cores, so we could refactor that out as well. So I'll make a new file here. And you know what? In like a Rails app, we would actually have a folder called initialization under our config. We could actually mimic that structure if we wanted to here as well. I don't know. I'll decide about that in a moment because there might be some advantage to having that from an organization structure. Or I just might be making things Rails. People are like, Andrew, stop doing Rails. Can't help it. I like it. So here, this would be like init, def init cores. Okay, and we have import OS here. This would be init cores. I'll just put the app in here again. And we'll go all the way to the top here. So we'll grab this here. Paste that in. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I asked for. Yeah, sometimes it does not listen to me. We'll cut that out. We'll paste that in here. So that is being used here. And I don't know where this is being used. I guess that is for cross origin. That's an import. So we do want to keep that there. So go ahead and paste that in here. And just take that out. And then this one is used here. These are more generic ones. I'm going to put those at the top. Here's our Flask. There's our libs. Those are services. So here we'd have lib cores, init cores. Did we do another one there? Honeycomb. Init honeycomb. We have our Cognito JWT here. I'm going to just put that with all of our other libs just so we can make things a little bit tidier. We have CloudWatch log, so that might be something that we might want to do. Now, there's the app.logger, but then we had done this one here, which was kind of us overriding CloudWatch. I'll make this here. You know, even if we're not using these today, like we know, go back and make sure they all work, at least they'll be a little bit more organized and we can play around with them later. So I'll drop this one here, and I'll go over here and grab this. And yeah, so there is our init. So we'll go here and say CloudWatch, and I will grab after the request. See, this uses the logger, so we'd have to go here. And I think we can reference it in here down below. Paste that in here. I'll just say def init CloudWatch logs. It's not really an init in that same sense, but I'm going to do that anyway. Okay. And so here, let's just see if there's anything here like response or request. How would it know what those are? Because it would have to pass the request in here. So I'm just going to bring that over here for a second. And yeah, that has the response. Yeah, I don't know if I can call it that way, the way I think that I want to call it. Like, how would I know what the request is? Because it's imported up here. So I would have to go here and bring this over into CloudWatch logs and paste that here. And then the response would come in through here. I'm taking a lot of guesses here without testing, but I'm just trying to refactor as quick as I can. I have a lot of confidence. If you don't, if you're doing refactor, you do each thing each time and you double check. I got to go to a call. I'll see you in a bit, okay? All right, I am back, and I did have to start up my environment, and it also isn't kind of a state that, this state is means that it's shut down. I'll have to start it back up here again, but for the time being, we'll just work our way through here. I do have some tabs here I want to close out, so just give me one moment. And the last thing I remember doing was refactoring out this code here, so let's just take a look. So we have our init cores up here. Did we call our cores? Yes, we do call our cores right there. There was the CloudWatch log stuff, so we were working on CloudWatch logs at some point as well. So over here we call the init. This is where this was before, so we'll, whoops, that's a Zoom link from before, but we'll go ahead and try to paste this again, and we will indent this, and we'll say response. And we're of course not using this right now, so it might run into issues later down the road, but for the time being, that looks correct. So I'm going to scroll up and down. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I might be interested in changing here. I also noticed that this says debug true. The application does override it, so even though it says true there, when we do run it in other places, that does get overridden, but I don't know if that'd be a good practice to actually have that as debug true there, because it shouldn't be on like that. But anyway, this looks a lot cleaner to me. Hopefully it feels the same way to you. So I'm just going to go here and say refactor the AppPy more. Okay. But anyway, I will have to relaunch this environment because unfortunately I learned the hard way here with Gitpod, but it's not easy to get it back into the original state. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I was told by Gitpod a way of running all the stuff again, and I'm going to go take a look for that because I saw it on Discord. Axon over at Gitpod told me of a command, so I'm just going to go here and find it. Just give me a moment here. So I'm just trying to find the message here, and GP validate. So if we run GP validate, I wonder if that's going to fix our problem here. Building the workspace image. Axon was saying here, basically you can run GP validate command on terminal if you're using VS Code. Gitpod will auto prompt you about running it when you make a change to either the Gitpod YAML or Docker file. So, I mean, that's what he says to do that, but I don't know. I guess we'll just wait here and see what happens. So this seems like it's downloading. It might take a bit of time. So just give me a moment here to wait for this to finish, and I'll talk to you here in a moment, okay? All right, so I ran the GP validate, and well, what does it say here? It says stuff. So I'm not really sure about this. It does say the workspace is up and running. But yeah, I don't know about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open the new context, which I did over here on week X. I'm going to stop this one. And I'm going to go ahead and launch a new get pod, and we will see you in the next one, okay? Well, I'm not stopping the video. I'm just going to launch a new environment. Sorry, I'm just going to pause here and see you in a moment. All right, so I relaunched my workspace. I'm just doing a Docker compose up, and the question will be, will it error out on any of my code for the app.py? Because we did make multiple changes here. So it would have been nice if it was already running, because if it does start up here, it could end up in a failing state. But I guess we'll find out here in a moment. So I'll see you back here in a second when this is running. All right, and things seem to be running. I'm going to go check here for Docker, see if we have any problems. And of course, the backend is not working. That's totally fine. Kind of expecting it to run into errors. And so it could not import name init xray from lib xray. So let's go take a look there at our code. So I'll go into the backend Flask, into our lib directory, into xray. And we have a spelling mistake, so that is fair. So what we'll do is go back up here. I'm going to do a Docker compose up. Of course, I'd only like it to do the backend, but I don't really have a better way of doing this. I guess I suppose we could individually set them up, but you know, I'd have to talk to James about that. But the thing that frustrates me is always this rebuild of the React.js. I wish there was a way to speed that up, but you know, I have no idea how to do that. Anyway, I'll just wait here and talk to you soon, okay? All right, so it should be back up now, and it's still not working. That's totally fine. We'll eventually figure out what the issue is. Now here it says no module name lib honeycomb, so maybe we have spelled something wrong again. And we have, it's just, I'm full of spelling mistakes here, so we'll do this. And then what we'll do is we'll do a Docker compose up. Okay, and I'm just kind of watching where this takes forever to build, because it's always the same place that it gets stuck. Well, it was fast that time, but I know the React.js one just always slows things down, drives me crazy. I don't know if it's because it's copying node modules and something has changed. But anyway, let's go back over here. And it's still not running. That's okay. We'll go to view logs. It says OS get env is not defined. And I saw that, and I wasn't really sure what was going on there. I don't know if that's like an import somewhere that we missed. Let's go back to our app.py. Maybe we did import it, I just never noticed. Yeah, so I don't know what this is. Let's go over here and search for this. So it's os.getEnv, so that is a spelling error there. That is happening in the Xray file. So I did see that. I just thought that maybe that was some interesting import, but I guess we just need that here. And I think it's still, yep, it's still getEnv. So we will go ahead and, again, do a Docker compose up. And I'll see you in a moment when that's done. All right, we will check again. So we'll go over here. We'll do a view logs. And it says OS is not defined. That's okay. We'll go here and do an import OS, and we will save that. And again, we will do a Docker compose up. And we'll try that there, okay? All right, so let's give this another check. And so it's probably still not running. We'll go here. It says name app is not defined in the Xray file. So somewhere here we are using app. And it is being set there. I do believe that we are passing it in here, so that is, well, we're not, but we can just do that. We could use the context as well, but I just feel like passing it in there to just make my life a bit easier, and it's a little bit more explicit, and it's not too hard to do because these are functions that we're calling. So I'll go back over here again, and we will do a Docker compose up. Now, again, if you did a refactor, it might be a bit easier if you can have it running, like in a running state, and do that, or change each thing at a time. But you know, I'm very confident, and I do a lot of refactors, so for me it's not a big deal. Here it says init cores takes 0 positional arguments but was given 1. So let's go take a look at our cores, and our cores is not taking any parameters. It's probably supposed to take app here as well, so we will update that. I'm going to do a Docker compose up. We'll try that again. It seems to be building a lot faster, so I don't have to stop the video every single time. Sometimes it takes longer for some reason, and I'm never too sure as to why. We will go back over here. I'm going to do a view logs. And now it says name X-ray recorder is not defined in here. So I think that's in our app.py that it's saying that. That is on, it's this here thing here, X-ray recorder. So for that, we need to import that. Let's make our way over to X-ray. And it's this thing here. So it is imported here, but it seems to be that we probably also need it here. Okay, yeah, we'll allow that pasting there. Okay, so we need that for our middleware, and we'll see if that fixes that issue. So we will go ahead and we will go to our Explorer and we'll do a Docker compose up and we'll try that again. All right, and so now that is back up, we are going to make our way back over to Docker here, and it's running, hooray! That doesn't mean it's working, but at least it's running, so we'll go to our home page here, and we can't see anything, so that is okay. We'll go to review logs, we'll see what it's complaining about. Database connection, that is easy to fix because this is a new setup here. So we'll go here and do bin db setup. All right, and so that is now set up. We'll give this a refresh. What's the problem here? It should, well, maybe that's an old link, so I'm just gonna go here just in case it's old. Open it up again here. Yeah, maybe it was old, and now we're seeing our stuff. So that doesn't mean that we don't have things that are broken, but clearly our refactor is now complete. So I'll just go here and just say finish up initialization refactor. And you know, the thing is, we could take some of these things and make an initialized folder, or we can leave them in the lib. It really just depends on how and what and how we want to use it. I think it's totally okay the way we are using it here, so I don't mind having it on the lib directory, at least for now. But yeah, hopefully that makes this a little bit more manageable, and those folks that said the code was messy are thinking that it's in a better state. Now that that is done, I don't know, I guess I would consider this also a video, so maybe this is just a refactor video, but we do want to get to implementing these things. It seems like we're never getting to them, but I'll stop it here, and we'll see you in the next one, which hopefully will be implementing some of these endpoints. See you soon.